Good morning and welcome to our devotion for today, which is a subject on how to keep the Sabbath. Genesis 2 verses 1 to 3. God says, "Thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made." God rested, blessed, and sanctified the seventh day of the week. He thus set it apart for himself and put a special blessing in it for those who with him rest on the seventh day. Isaiah 58 verses 13 and 14 says, "If you turn away your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holiday, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holiday of the Lord honorable, and shall honor him, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words, then you shall delight yourself in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride on high hills of the earth, and feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father. The mouth of the Lord has spoken." The promise of his blessings is there for anybody who will honor God by obeying him. Why does God want us to keep the Sabbath? Exodus chapter 20, which is one of the 10 commandments. You might have heard me say this verse over and over the past few days. It happens to be the theme of my devotions. So don't worry, it is important for us just to go over it over and over again so we can understand it better. Exodus 20 verse 11. Why does God want us to keep the Sabbath? "For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." It is the memorial of his creative act. We acknowledge him as our creator and the creator of the universe by keeping the Sabbath. What about Ezekiel chapter 20? What about Ezekiel chapter 20? What has God to say to us in the book of Ezekiel chapter 20? Verse 12. He says it is a sign between him and his people. It is also a sign that only Christ can save us and sanctify us, and also that Christ will finally give us eternal rest. Mark 2:27. Again, the Sabbath is for men. The Sabbath was made for men and not men for the Sabbath. It was made for man's good. The physical and mental rest that result from the special communication with the Lord is very beneficial. It was meant for men, for the benefit of man. How about keeping the Sabbath? How do we keep the Sabbath? Luke chapter 23. Verses 54. 23 verse 54. It says the following words. "That day was the preparation day, and the Sabbath drew near." The preparation day, the Sabbath was drawing near. Now, Friday is known as the preparation day. All work must be done up to this day. we've got 6 days in which to do all our work. And Friday, or preparation day as it is known, this text we are reading is about Jesus' death. If you read the book of Luke chapter 23, you find the story of Jesus' death, that he died on a Friday, or he died on the preparation day, and the Sabbath was about to draw near. What we will be needing for sustenance, for clothing, etc., must also be prepared on a Friday. That's why it is called preparation day. Preparation, why? Because on the Sabbath day we must rest from all our work. Exodus 20, again, I go back to what I've just read because there's a specific part which I want. Verses 8 to 11. How do we prepare? Or how do we rest? How do we keep the Sabbath day? Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. There is also an instruction, a commandment there, right there in verse 9. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. So there is a commandment for us not to be lazing around. A commandment that in 6 days a man shall labor. We should all labor. We should all work. Regardless of what work it is, we must not be lazy. We must work. Whatever your hand findeth to do, do it with all your heart, with all your strength. We must do all our work. But then on the Sabbath, rest. Verse 10. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. Some of us live in towns and there are no cattle, but we do understand the implication of that text because it talks to what is represented by cattle in our times. You can replace it for whatever represents cattle in your times, because cattle, they are belongings, whatever belongs to you. It could also be a means of income. If it is yours, it is owned by you. You are responsible of ensuring that it is also at rest. If it is your business, it must be at rest. If it is your employee, that employee must also be resting on the Sabbath day. It's not me, it's God speaking in that commandment. Why? And actually the last part of verse 10 there said, nor your stranger who is within your gates, your visitor, the people that come and are part of your home when it is a Sabbath day, they must also rest with you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the Sabbath day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. This explanation is simple and straightforward. No secular work is to be done. Even at the busiest times of your occupation, the Lord commands us to rest. Exodus 16, 22 to 26, you can read there as well. Housewives are to rest on the Sabbath day. Not necessarily just housewives. All those that have got to do with working at home, you are also expected to rest. We are expected to rest. No shopping, no cooking, no ironing, no cleaning. Read that text and understand it. Exodus 16 verse 22 to 26. All these must be done on a Friday or before a Friday. You don't have to wait until it's a Friday and then you are overwhelmed, and you have to try and work and prepare everything in one day. That's why you've got 6 days to do all your work. Nehemiah 13 verse 15 to 19. There should be no business, according to that text. There should be no business on the Sabbath day. No buying, no selling, and other secular work, even if it is only paperwork. Today, we have got paperless business. Even if it is paperless business, it should not be done on the Sabbath day. If I may add, put away all social media that is affecting your resting in the Lord on the Sabbath day. It might be paperless. It is important. It is something that takes a lot of our time and energy. There are many people today who are suffering from social media fatigue. It is true. It is there. You know what I'm talking about. Isaiah 58:13 and 14 that we read, behavior and attitude on the Sabbath should also be sacred in nature. That's why there God said, do not speak your own words. Do not go your own ways. God is particular about even behavior and things we say and things we do. Luke 23:54, we read it, and 24 verse 1, Jesus was careful about his Sabbath keeping and encouraged his followers to be so. This explains why they refrained from sending spices and ointment to the tomb of Jesus during Sabbath hours. Remember, he died on a Friday, preparation day. They could not go and do that because they observed the commandment of keeping the Sabbath day or the seventh day holy. But is God even particular about a day? Read again Exodus 16 verse 27 to 28 to find out that God wanted the Israelites to know that no other day apart from the Sabbath day is acceptable as the Sabbath. That is why he did not give manna to the Israelites on the Sabbath day. He taught this lesson every week for 40 years, or if you want, for 2080 Sabbaths, which is what you get out of 40 years. He repeatedly did this example to teach a lesson, which is a deep lesson for all of us. All these stories in the Bible, they are for our own admonition. We better take heed. God gave for 40 years, 6 days a week, manna to the children of Israel. And yet on the Sabbath day, none fell. None was there. On a Friday, preparation day, he gave double the portion of manna. And it was enough to sustain them even on the Sabbath day of rest. Because he didn't want them to be working, to be doing anything that will take their attention from a communion with God, an audience with their Maker and their Creator. And that is a lesson for all of us. Exodus 20:15 to 16. If Israel was punished for breaking the Sabbath, read that text, 15 to 16, for breaking the Sabbath, what indicates that modern day spiritual Israel will not be punished for dishonoring the Sabbath? If ancient Israel was punished, we spiritual Israel, we too are going to be punished for not keeping the Sabbath according to the commandment. Jeremiah 17:24 to 25. If they had kept the Sabbath day as God had commanded them, Jerusalem would have stood forever. Believe it or not, read that text. Jeremiah 17:24 to 25. Jerusalem would have stood forever. Today we would still be seeing a Jerusalem whose king is God, because if they had kept the commandment according to God's commandment. God is very particular about his holiday. But they disobeyed. That is why they are no more as chosen a nation. Their time came to an end. And God will do exactly the same to spiritual Israel if we do not hearken to his commandment. For we have learned in the previous devotions that God indeed is particular. What permissible work can be done on the Sabbath? Maybe I should read this one as well. Matthew 12. Matthew 12, from verses 10 to 13. It says, Matthew 12, rather not 12, 10 to 13. And behold, there was a man who had a withered hand, and they asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? That they might accuse him. Then he said to them, What man is there among you who has one sheep, and if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will not lay hold of it and lift it out? Of how much more value then is a man than a sheep? Therefore, it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Verse 13, Then he said to the man, Stretch out your hand. And he stretched it out, and it was restored as whole as the other. So God healed this man on the Sabbath. But also what we find as a principle there, God says it is good to do, this is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. That's Matthew chapter 12, 10 to 13. Jesus taught that it was permissible to care for the sick, excuse me, and also to perform acts of mercy on the Sabbath. It is lawful, it is permissible. I think I'm clear there. The Bible is very clear. There's a principle. There is not thus saith the Lord. It's commandment number 12, 13, 15 or whatever. There are many principles that are implied or are clearly there in the Bible that are laws from God. And that's why they, by implication or by word, God through Jesus says, it is lawful to do good. That is still a commandment. Do good on the Sabbath. If there's an opportunity to do it, do it. What about the time of the Sabbath? Leviticus 23:32. In the Bible, days are reckoned from evening to evening. We find that even in Genesis, in the story of creation. Genesis 1 verse 5. The Sabbath then starts from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. You can also see Mark chapter 1 verse 32, where evening is synonymous with sunset. From sunset to sunset, then it was another day, and another sunset to sunset is another day. The Sabbath should be started and closed with prayer, with devotion. Christ kept and worshipped on the Sabbath day. You can check it out in Luke chapter 14, 16 to 18. He has promised many blessings on those who keep and honor the Sabbath. Read Isaiah 56, 1 to 8, Isaiah 58, 13 to 14. Would you follow your Savior and receive the promised blessing of keeping the Sabbath? I will. As for me and my house, we will worship the Lord of the Sabbath. God bless.